Hey y'all, it's your girl Mac. Welcome to my podcast. This is Mac Reviews. I do reviews of Love After Lockup, 90 Day Fiance, and other shows. I'm not reviewing 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After because it is trash right now this season. I have been watching 90 Day Diaries, but I don't know that anyone's looking for reviews of that. There's not really a whole lot on the 90 Day Diaries one. It's not a lot of drama. It's just catching up with the couples. I think it's on Discovery Plus. It's really not drama. It's just them saying what's going on with their lives. So it's not really, there's nothing to review. So anyways, I am reviewing Love After Lockup season 3, episode 40. These season numbers are out of order and ridiculous. But anyways, let's get to it. I'm going to talk about Lisa and Stan first. So Lisa got her hotel room. She's still upset about Stan. And yeah, she doesn't really want to talk to him or deal with him. And so then we see Stan talking to his friend Dash. And I wonder how he got that nickname. But anyways, so he tells Dash what happened, and he's telling him, yeah, you shouldn't have said that. That was dumb. That was like, I mean, how would you feel if it was your situation with one of your kids and she told you that? Like, and Stan recognizes that he shouldn't have said that and that was wrong. And he tells him that you need to apologize to her, you need to call her. And so then we see Lisa. She goes to see a hairstylist friend of hers, and she's, confiding in her, telling her what happened. This hairstylist, I'm going to put air quotes around that, did not style her hair very well at all. She probably just doesn't know how to do weave well. Most stylists have specialties. They have a few styles and things that they are good at. There are stylists who specialize in hair dye and coloring. And there are stylists that do braiding. Like there's a girl online that I follow on YouTube and IG, and all she does is braids, and she's really good at it. There's women who specialize in doing relaxers. There's women right now who all they do is straighten natural hair. All they will do is do silk presses and flattening natural hair. Like, so clearly weave is not this woman's specialty. Okay, because I don't know what that was. And ma'am, wow. Lisa said she had a couple $1,000s. She could have taken that money and invested like $100 in a decent, or $200 in a decent human hair wig. But anyways, so Stan calls her and he says, hey, I'm sorry, can we talk? And can I meet you and we could talk about it? And she agreed to meet him. So they meet and she walks in there. She's walking in some heels and she's struggling a little bit. She looked okay in her. She just didn't even look comfortable in what she was wearing. The hair didn't look that great. And he's telling her, wow, you look so good. And she was like, I know. And I'm like, but okay, this hair, but whatever. So he apologizes to her and says, he blames it on him being tired and saying that he was drinking, and he's sorry for what he said. And she's like, okay, I'm gonna forgive you, but you're gonna have to prove yourself to me. He also said that her hair looked, quote, sensational. Okay. And then she was like, oh, you need to reimburse me for the money I paid for the hotel. I'm laughing because I'm like, wasn't that his money anyways? Where did she get that money? Is that the money that was left over in her commissary, like that he put there? Oh, she wants him to pay her more money for the money he gave her. And he agreed. So then he starts being a creep again, and he's like, I just want. He goes back into that creepy voice that he was doing in the confessional. And he's like, I want you to come back to my place, and it just was creepy, and I was like, ugh, okay. And I was like, girl, don't go with him. Go back to that hotel. Oh yeah, we'll see what happens in the trailer. It looks like they get pulled over by a cop or something. I don't know. He probably was speeding. So next, let me talk about Anissa and Jeff real quick, because that was a quick segment. And Anissa is going to see Jeff because he told her he got a pass to go out of the halfway house. And when she gets there, he calls her and says, oh, I'm not going to be able to leave because they have to put an ankle monitor on me and they didn't have time to put it on. And so I'm not going to be able to go anywhere, but can you give me $100 and leave me the stuff on a picnic table or something? And I'm like, this man lied. He lied to you. He made that up. The day pass thing was not real. That never happened. He just wanted you to come, and he knew that to lure you, he needed to, I guess, say that you might actually see him so you could continue to give him things. Like when he asked for that $100, I thought that was very brazen. And I'm like, wow, she gave it to him apparently. So I think that was just a whole lie that he told, and he just wanted her to come and bring him stuff. This woman is, I'm not understanding why she's been. I don't get what's wrong with her. Like I don't know yet why she's been dealing with this guy and why she's letting herself get played. I don't understand. But anyway, so next let's talk about Brittany and Ray. So Brittany is excited because Ray is getting out of the halfway house. He's been in there for 2 months, and he's gonna have an ankle monitor, of course. And she's looking forward to intimacy with him. And she said that they would do like video sex in the. Okay. So, so her sister's doing her makeup, and I'm not gonna say her hair because she's wearing that same wig, and she's getting ready because she's gonna go pick him up. I was wondering, like, is he really gonna stay with her? Even the sister was like, shouldn't he stay with his mom? And I don't think he's gonna end up staying with her. And I think he is gonna end up staying with his family, and he'll just come and see her maybe. I don't know. So she says in the confessional, and then she says it to her sister. She's like, oh, what woman wouldn't want her man to be in the house all day, every day, because he's going to be on house arrest. He's not going to be able to, I guess he's not going to be able to leave the house. I don't know if he has a curfew, if he can leave and come back, but I guess he has to be there most of the time. And she's like, what woman wouldn't want that? And she says to her sister, I just think it's really cool that he's going to be here all the time. Like, you know how much females will want that? And I was like, Brittany, not many. Like, no, women don't want their man to be, hetero women, like, we don't want, like, that's not something a lot of women want. I'm like, where has she been? Has she not heard of all the people during the last year of quarantine who are in the process of getting divorces right now because they have been with each other 24/7 in the house all the time for the last year, and they are sick of each other, and they found out they didn't like each other. Like, it's mad people breaking up because the last year they've been with each other all the time, and they just realize, yo, I don't even want to be with you no more. So, like, I'm like, what are you talking about? That's not something most women want. Like, people want their space. Like, I don't know if it's because I'm an introvert. Like, I don't want no man to be up under me all the time. Like, I need my space. So when we're together, it's great. But when I need my time, I need my time. Like, I don't want him there all the time, and he probably wouldn't want me there all the time. I wonder if Brittany's ever lived with a man. I haven't, but I still recognize whenever I do. I haven't, guys I dated, I never got to the point where we lived together, but I wouldn't, like, even I'm like, no. So I don't, maybe she's never lived with a man, because probably women who live with men will tell you no. I am glad when he goes to his job. I'm glad when I go to mine. I'm glad when he's out the house. Like, no, I think she's gonna have a rude awakening. But anyways, when she gets there, he told her that his family's not going to be there, and it looks like he lied, because when she gets there, his grandma's rolling up there, and she's smiling. She is ready to see her grandson, and she's like, oh, she's surprised, like, why is she there? And she's a little irritated. She's gonna go over and find out why she's there, and I'm like, why do you think she's there? What are you talking about? This man has been in prison for 4 years. He has not been able to spend any time with his family. Why wouldn't his grandmother be there? Like, I don't understand why she's being so, like, only thinking about herself. Like, you understand that this man has a family. Like, he's still gonna have to have a relationship with them and spend time with them. Like, you have to realize that. I'm wondering, has Brittany, like, been with other people? Like, haven't you been with other people? Like, they have families and friends. They're gonna spend time with those people. Like, I'm wondering if she's gonna end up being controlling and, try to, I don't know, but we'll see what happens with that. I don't even know if he's gonna end up staying with her. It's very possible he's gonna end up staying with his family. So I'm trying to decide if I want to talk about Dante and Nicole first or Rachel and Doug. Rachel and Doug's situation is just, I mean, both of these, this episode was not funny. Nothing was really funny. It was like, let's talk about Dante and Nicole. Lord have mercy. Dante is quite possibly the stupidest person that's ever been on this show. Like, he is worse than Sean, and people online were calling him Black Sean, but then I was like, I mean, at least Destiny gave Sean some. At least she let him hit. So he's not worse than Sean, because Sean got 6 kids and he's a deadbeat dad, but like he's dumber than him. Because even Sean, if that girl hadn't slept with him, like, Sean would have been like, bye. He wouldn't have kept buying her. So Nicole is planning to meet her ex-girlfriend, Tia. She's talking to her in the salon, and before they leave, and so they all go to this restaurant bar, and Brittany brings her friend Audrey. Brittany? Who's Brittany? Nicole with 2 L's. Brings her friend Audrey, and Dante invited his friend Derek. So he's telling Derek, like, don't be easy on her. Don't be hard on her. And, he's like, whatever. I don't care what Derek got to say. Like, Derek's just a hater. And I'm like, a hater? Sir, are you first of all, Derek looked better than you. That's number one. Number two. And I'm not trying to, but I mean, like, I mean, Derek could probably pull better female. But anyways, so that's number one. Number two, you think that Derek is jealous of you being with this dirty, and I say, let me not call her dirty, but this promiscuous, this, why would he be jealous of this? He don't want no female like her who's using men and sleeping around and lying and got nothing going for her life. Like, are you for real? Anyways, so her, Audrey trying to help her with the lies and talking about, she would talk about him all that time because she's like, oh, I love him, I want to be with him. And Derek was like, I don't believe you. Derek was not here for the BS. Listen, I was here for Derek. Derek was like, he came ready to go. He came ready to get Nicole and show Dante that he's being played. It was great. It was awesome. I mean, it was a little uncomfortable because I think otherwise I wouldn't be super comfortable with a man asking a woman about her sexual history and all that. Like, so if she wasn't like the low down dirty female that she is, I would not usually be comfortable with a man questioning a woman and commenting on her sexual history. But in this case, Nicole is not a respectable individual and she's using Dante and lying to him and taking advantage of him. So she deserved it. And it was great. And I was glad you know, she unearthed the Tia thing because she's looking for Tia. And he's like, who are you looking for? And she brought up her ex, her friend, but really was her girlfriend. Like, Derek got it out of her, and she got it out of her that she slept with her. And he asked her, how many people have you slept with in prison? And she was like, 6. But she said she was dating 4 of them, but she only slept with 2 of them. But she was, so Derek was on it. I was like, yes, Derek, yes. And so they go outside because Nicole went outside, I think, to try to call Tia, and she told her don't come, which obviously the girl wasn't coming in the first place. Like, I don't know if that was like fake for her, for the cameras, because obviously Tia probably, I don't know if she already had her sign the waivers and all that, and, you know, she wasn't gonna show up anyways. I think that was just her storyline. But so he comes out there and he's like, man, you embarrassing me. You make me look dumb. He blows up on her. You could sleep with her, but you can't sleep with me. I thought you said you wouldn't let nobody touch you. And he's just confronting her. And she's like, oh, and he's like, so how come you can't hook up with me? And she's like, because I'm not comfortable with you, sir. And then he was like, oh, but you're comfortable with me spending my money. Bingo. And I was like, finally, Dante sees what's happening. You're finally getting it. Okay. So... And then she continues to tell him lies. She's like, oh, I wouldn't be with you even if you hadn't given me all that. That was your, the one thing she said was true, was that was your choice. You know, you chose to give me, and she's right. He didn't have to do that. Now, did she definitely ask him for those things? Of course. But, yeah, so, you know, I was glad, like, okay, part of me didn't like that they were arguing, because, like, obviously, like, I would not do that in public. I mean, no, like, I was like, oh my gosh, they're arguing in public. But, and there were people walking by looking at them. But and of course they're gonna look, there's cameras and everything. But and it looked like the place was a big place. It looked like a giant, like, bar, like it might have been in a plaza or something, like downtown area or something. But, you know, I was glad that he was, like, finally going off on her. But she was still lying, talking about, oh, even if you didn't have no money and you didn't give me something, I would still love you. I would still be with you. And I'm like, oh my God, the lies keep going, all these lies. And she was like, oh, I love you. You know, okay, I will go with you, and then we will decide if we will sleep in the same room. And he was like, that's all I ask. And I don't want to argue with you. And I'm like, this dude, how the heck does he, like, he was just getting it. And then he went back to being stupid. But Nicole, in that moment, she was like, oh, Steph, I'm about to lose my money. You know, she can't stop dealing with him until she moves on to her next sucker, until she gets her next patient, her next man who's, you know, who's going to buy her things. So she can't drop him yet until she can fully get back with Zach or whoever's going to pay her bills. So they go back in, and they were about to leave, and I don't remember what Nicole said. She said something, but as they were getting ready to leave, and then Derek was like, oh, it's okay, you're gonna be gone in 2 months. I was like, yes, Derek, keep your foot on her neck. Oh my gosh, Derek was a superhero this episode. I loved it. Oh my gosh. And he was like, oh, you know, to the cameras, Dante is a dummy, and he is. Call him out, tell him the truth about himself. And then, so they go back to his place, and, you know, she does all this. I mean, I was like, yo, is she actually gonna sleep with him? Like, I was about to be shocked, and of course she didn't. She just rubbed up on him and stuff, and but then she slept in his guest room, his second room, and then he was like, oh, he like had to beg her to even just stay in the house. And I'm like, wait a minute, she's gonna sleep in that, y'all are sleeping in separate rooms and you're still using the sex toy? Like, what? Like, what are you, sir? Like, I mean, he is a special kind of stupid. I don't know, somebody online was like, oh, on Reddit or somewhere, he all but confirmed that he probably is on the spectrum, but I don't know. There has been no confirmation of that, and because, like, you know, if he is, then we can't make fun of him. You know, we can't call him stupid. But there has been no confirmation, so until somebody confirms it, until it comes out of his mouth or his mother's mouth or Derek's mouth, I'm gonna keep making fun of him and calling him stupid because that's how he's acting. So, And then he was like, he wants to trust her or something. And I'm like, but you have no reason to trust her. She's done nothing to earn your trust. Does he know what trust is? Anyways, so when she goes into the room before she goes to sleep, guess what? She calls her boyfriend, Zach. So she's whispering. Oh my goodness. Dante. Wow. It's just, I really think he is the slowest person we ever seen. Like, I can't remember the last time I was this dumbfounded by somebody's stupidity was Scott from season 1 with Lizzie. This is worse. Well, is it worse? No, because Lizzie didn't sleep with him either. So this is pretty bad. It's close to that. Yeah. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. I love the built-in editing tools in the app. I'm able to record my podcast, edit, and add music without any issues. It makes my workflow smooth and seamless. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership, so you don't need to have 500 subscribers or 1,000. You can start making money from the start. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. So, lastly, we're going to talk about Rachel and Doug. So, okay. So Big Doug wants to see his father. He's not supposed to travel on the weekend, so I'm assuming it's a weekend. He's only allowed to go out between 8 and 5, I think, on the weekdays, but he wants to go. And she's like, don't you think you shouldn't go? Haven't you, she's trying to like tell him this is not a good idea. She's concerned. And he says, she's like, did you not learn anything from being in prison from 11 years? And he's like, yeah, I learned that I do whatever I want. And I'm like, that's your husband, Rachel. That's what you find so attractive, So, and then before they leave, because she's still letting him leave, she's telling the cameras, he's showing a whole different side of himself, and she's not comfortable with this. And I'm like, this is not a whole different side of him. This is how he was acting on the phone the first few times we heard him. What are you talking about? So she agrees to go, even though she doesn't want to go, and she's the one driving. And I'm like, hold on. Bro, hold up. Rewind. Back it up. Hold up. So this man who doesn't pay no bills, he ain't got no vehicle, he ain't got no money. He told you he does what he wants. And y'all are going to go and you're driving? And it wasn't no 20-minute drive. Apparently it was 2 hours. Yeah, so I was like, ma'am, all you had to say was no, it's my car, we're not going. Like, if you gonna go, you can catch the bus, you can get an Uber and spend your own money. I like, girl, what is you, like, what? Anyways, so this heifer still goes with him, and he calls his parole officer and leaves a message. And I'm like, I don't know about the parole or probation system, but is that how that works? Like, doesn't he have to get permission? Like, isn't that outside of the rules of his release? But okay. So they get there, and Rachel, says how the family had welcomed her and they like her and she's cool with them and everything. She used to, I think Dougie, from what I remember her saying, Dougie never used to be with her the full time. He would just come and visit her. So I guess when she would go and pick him up or go and meet, like, drop him back off, that's when she would see them. But, so the family didn't know. They're saying, they didn't know. But obviously they all were mic'd up. They all agreed to be on the show. So they may have not known exactly when, but they obviously knew about the show, and because they all had their mics on. So they, like, but the dad was really surprised. They all were very emotional, and they all hugged him and kissed him, and it was actually a sweet scene. They all love each other, it seems like. And he hugged all his nieces and nephews. There were some little babies there, and little Dougie hugged his cousins, and it was really precious, actually. It didn't stay that way though. But apparently his dad is ill. He mentioned in the confessional liver failure, and I was like, oh my gosh. And looking at his dad, he does look tired. I thought he was just old, but and Doug gets emotional talking to his dad, and he, and his sisters are crying and stuff when they see him. They're just happy to see him. But his mom did not come out. She didn't want to see him because she's resentful of him for his bad decisions, for being in prison all these years, and I completely understand why she feels that way. She has every right to feel that way. He asked his dad, what do you think of Rachel? And he's like, I like her, and you need to act right. He tells him, do not mess this up. And his sister is like, I'm so glad to see him, and she's still emotional, and she's like, I don't know how long he's gonna be out for though. And I'm like, yeah, we're all wondering that too. So I was thinking, it seems that he has a good relationship with his father, and so I'm wondering, why is he so, like, his father wasn't rude, like his vibe with his father was very positive. So I don't understand why he has this vibe with his son. Why, like, he doesn't seem to be more loving towards, like, is he resentful at his son for being born? Like, I don't understand. But so I do want to say this. In the confessional, Big Doug does acknowledge that he does recognize, hey, my choices caused me to be where I am. I know that what I did caused me to go to prison and be away from my family. I don't think he fully recognizes there seems to still be a selfishness because he went into prison at 17, and that's the age he still is probably mentally. He doesn't recognize how his actions have hurt his family. Like, he sees that his mom is resentful at him for his choices, so he's not mad. He understands it, like, he comprehends it in a logical way, but it's like he doesn't understand the pain. Like, he doesn't recognize how his choices have hurt his son, and how it's affected his sisters and his whole family. Like, anyway, so this is when it goes haywire. One of his sisters is like, Rachel asks her, like, did you miss Dougie? And Rachel's like, not Rachel, the sister's name is Ashley, and she's like, yeah, I found some letters that he wrote talking about how his life was bad, and Dougie, like, little Dougie is like, no, don't show him that. If you show him that, I'll never talk to you again. And then Doug's like, oh, I'm gonna take that real serious, let me see them. And I do not understand what he has against his own son. Like, I don't get it. And then the other sister starts going off like, she treated him like crap, she abused him, and he could have came with me, but I couldn't take him because I'm married to a felon. And then they start arguing, and the big Doug is like, oh, nobody else wanted to take him. And she's like, nah, like I said, I could have taken him, but they wouldn't let me because of living with a felon. And he's like, oh yeah, she should have given him a hard time. And I'm like, why? Like, that's what I'm saying. I do not understand what he has against his own son. Like, your son has spent his entire life with no father. His mother's a drug addict. Clearly, before he lived with Rachel, he was living in poverty. Why should he have a hard time? What has he done to deserve that? Like, not that but like, I don't get it. And so they're going off, they're arguing, and then Doug goes, shut the F up, the word that rhymes with witch. And I was like, and everybody got quiet, and I just was in shock. And I'm like, yo, this dude, this is how he talks to his sister? In front of his whole family, in front of his father, in front of his wife, in front of his son, and Dougie gets upset, and Rachel's trying to comfort him. And I'm like, these people, he don't need to be around these people. This complete stranger is the only one who cares about his feelings. And all these people around are his blood, and they don't care. Like, I see why the mom don't want to have nothing to do with him. She is completely right. Like, wow. I was like, yo, and I'm looking at Rachel like, this is your husband. This is your prince. This is your man. This is This is who you want. This is who you chose, ma'am. I mean, no man is perfect, but I don't want no man who talks to his sister like that. I don't want no man whose own mother doesn't want to deal with him. Like, that says a lot. Okay? Nah. So that was that episode. And oh Lord, Rachel, girl, you can do better. Please do better, Rachel. You can do better. You're pretty. You got stuff going for yourself. You can do better. Like, you can't pick a man on sex alone. You got to consider some other things. Sex is a part of it. That's important. I'm not discounting that, but you got to put that together with some other things. Just like you can't pick no man. It can't be like, oh, he has a good job, but he don't respect me, or oh, he's nice to me, but the sex is trash. Like, the things have to come together, you know? Like, they all have to come together. So, and yeah, you're not going to get everything, but you have to pick what is less important. And him having a decent income and having a healthy relationship with his family and being like, you can't like lessen that stuff. But okay, that was the episode. If you're listening on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know what you think about Dougie cursing out his sister. Lord have mercy. I feel the only person I feel bad for on this show is little Dougie. Oh God. I mean, what happens if Rachel and Doug don't stay together? He gonna go back to this mess. You know, like, who's gonna take it? I mean, I guess Doug, if Doug is not out in prison, but Doug don't love, I don't know, does Doug love his son? Anyways, thanks for listening, guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.